My sister Delilah got everything she wanted her entire life, and I mean everything. The fancy wedding at 26, the rich husband Wayne who works in finance, the perfect house in the suburbs, and now the designer baby shower at some country club that probably costs more than I make in 3 months. Meanwhile, I'm 30, work part-time at PetSmart, and drive our mom's old 2007 Toyota Sienna because my car died 2 years ago and I never bothered replacing it. You need to understand something about my family before this makes sense. 8 years ago, my grandfather Charles died and left me his house. Not the family, not my mom Jessica, not my sister, just me. The whole thing paid off, mine legally. It was this 3-bedroom place in a decent neighborhood that he bought in the 80s. Nothing fancy but solid. My mom and sister were furious. They expected him to leave it to all of us, or at least to my mom since she was his daughter. But Grandpa Charles and I were close. I spent every weekend there as a kid helping him fix things, listening to his stories, just hanging out. Delilah never had time for him once she hit high school, too busy with her friends and boyfriends. When he died, I was 22 and completely destroyed. I loved that man more than anyone. Mom and Delilah were at the lawyer's office talking about selling the house before his funeral even happened. They kept saying I should sign it over to the family, that it wasn't fair for me to keep it all. I was grieving and confused, and they made me feel guilty about it every single day. So you know what I did? I moved out, packed my stuff, got an apartment across town, and told them they could live there. I just couldn't deal with the fighting anymore. That was their first mistake. They assumed I gave up, that I was too weak or too stupid to understand what I had. Mom moved back into her childhood home with Delilah. Then Mom remarried this guy Silvio 2 years later, some consultant who makes good money, and they got their own place. Delilah and Wayne moved into the house after they got married 4 years ago. They remodeled the kitchen, repainted everything, turned Grandpa's workshop into a home office, posted about it constantly on social media like it was their house. Never once mentioned me or Grandpa Charles, just acted like they earned it somehow. Here's what they didn't know. I never signed anything over. The house was still legally mine. Every year I paid the property taxes from my checking account. Every year I kept all the documentation. Every year I watched them post pictures of their perfect life in my house, and I waited. Because I knew eventually they'd push me too far. Last month I got a text from my mom. She was on some group chat planning Delilah's baby shower, and my contact auto-filled when she was adding names. It was this long message about dress code and gift expectations, and how this was an elegant event. I saw it was clearly meant for her friends, but my name was right there in the recipient list. I didn't respond. 2 days later, I got an actual invitation in the mail, the fancy printed kind with gold lettering. I figured maybe Mom actually wanted me there, or maybe Delilah did. Maybe they were finally ready to include me in family stuff again. So last Saturday, I showed up at the country club. I wore my nicest outfit, which yeah, I bought at Ross because that's where I shop. Black pants and a button-down shirt that looked fine to me. I brought a gift card because I didn't know what else to get. When I pulled up in the minivan, I could see all these expensive cars in the parking lot, and I already felt out of place, but whatever. This was my sister's baby shower. Security stopped me at the entrance. This guy in a suit told me this was a private event and I needed to leave. I showed him my invitation, the actual physical invitation with my name printed on it. He radioed someone. Then I watched my sister come out through the glass doors wearing this ridiculous pink dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She took one look at me standing there and just said, "Are you serious right now?" Not hello, not thanks for coming. Just, are you serious? Like I was doing something wrong by showing up to the event I was invited to. Then her bridesmaids came out behind her and one of them was already filming on her phone. I don't know why. Maybe they thought they were going to capture some funny moment. Delilah looked at her friends and said, "Ladies, meet my brother, 30 years old, works part-time at PetSmart, drives Mom's old minivan." They all laughed, like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. Her best friend Kelly said, "Wait, the brother, the one you said was in rehab." And Delilah just said I lied. He's just poor and pathetic. I stood there and took it because what was I going to do? Make a scene. Then my mom came out. She looked horrified to see me. She asked, why would I come here? Why was I ruining Delilah's special day? I showed her the invitation she sent. She actually said that was a mistake. It auto-filled my contact, like I was supposed to understand that and just leave. Delilah kept going. She pointed at my outfit and asked if it was from Ross. Asked if my baby deserves better family than this. Her mother-in-law was standing right there and asked, "Oh my, I thought you said you were an only child." Delilah looked her dead in the eye and said, "I am." He doesn't count. Security moved toward me. I could have fought it, but I didn't. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a manila envelope. I walked past all of them to the gift table inside and dropped it right on top of all the wrapped presents and gift bags. Didn't say a word, just turned around and left, got in the minivan and drove home. 6 hours later, my phone started going crazy. I'm talking back-to-back calls from my mom, from Delilah, from Wayne. Text messages coming in so fast my phone couldn't keep up. All caps, lots of exclamation points. I didn't answer any of them. I just sat on my couch eating leftover Chinese food and watching them lose their minds. Because that envelope contained copies of the property deed with my name on it, copies of 8 years of property tax payments from my bank account, and a formal eviction notice giving them 30 days to vacate my house. The house they remodeled and decorated and posted about like it was theirs. The house they lived in while calling me poor and pathetic. My mom left me a voicemail screaming about how I can't do this, how this is illegal, how she's going to sue me. Delilah sent me a text saying I'm ruining her life and her baby's life. Wayne called me from his number trying to be all reasonable, saying we should talk about this like adults. Maybe we can work something out. I didn't respond to any of them. I've been waiting 8 years for this moment. 8 years of watching them live in my house while treating me like garbage. 8 years of family events I wasn't invited to. 8 years of them acting like I didn't exist unless they needed to make fun of me. The thing is, I don't actually need that house. I have my apartment and I'm fine here, but they need it. Wayne and Delilah just spent $40,000 on renovations last year. Mom helped them with the down payment for the work, or at least that's what Delilah posted about, except there was no down payment because they don't own the house. They just spent $40,000 improving my property. And here's the best part. The eviction is completely legal. I had a lawyer draw it up 2 months ago. I've been ready for this. The only question was when I was going to do it. Turns out getting humiliated at a baby shower while being filmed was the perfect time. They have 30 days. After that, I'm selling the house and they can figure out where to live. I've already talked to a realtor. The market is good right now. I should clear about $400,000 after fees and taxes. Meanwhile, Delilah and Wayne are going to have to find a new place while she's 7 months pregnant. Mom is going to have to explain to Sylvia why her daughter's family is suddenly homeless. And they all get to know that the pathetic brother they mocked is the reason for it. I'm not backing down. I'm not negotiating. I'm not having a conversation about it. They made their choice when they treated me like I was nothing. Now they get to live with the consequences. The voicemails keep coming. I haven't listened to most of them. Update 1. Okay, so the comments on my last post were wild. Some of you said I should answer their calls. Some said I'm being too harsh. Most said to keep going. To the person who said I should feel bad because Delilah is pregnant, did you miss the part where she called me pathetic in front of everyone and said I don't count as family? Yeah, I thought so. It's been 5 days since the baby shower and things have escalated in ways I didn't expect. I'm going to walk you through what happened because honestly, I need to get this out and you guys seem to actually get it. Sunday night, 2 days after I dropped the eviction notice, my mom showed up at my apartment. I live in a small, one-bedroom place and I was not expecting company. She pounded on the door for like 10 minutes before I finally opened it. The second I did, she pushed past me into my living room and started going off. How could I do this to my sister? How could I be so cruel? Don't I understand that Delilah is about to have a baby? What kind of person throws out a pregnant woman? I just stood there and let her finish. When she finally stopped to breathe, I asked her a simple question. Did she think it was cruel when Delilah called me poor and pathetic in front of 20 people? Did she think it was wrong when she told me the invitation was a mistake and I was ruining the special day just by existing? Mom actually had the nerve to say that was different, that I embarrassed myself by showing up looking like that I should have known better than to come. She said Delilah has been stressed about the pregnancy and I should be more understanding. She said family doesn't air their dirty laundry and I'm making everyone look bad. I reminded her whose house Delilah has been living in for 4 years. Mom got real quiet then. She tried switching tactics, said we should sit down and talk about this like adults. She wanted to know what I wanted. What would make me change my mind? Money? An apology? What? Nothing, I told her. I want nothing from any of you. I've spent 8 years watching you treat me like I'm invisible, unless you need someone to mock. I'm done. The eviction stands and I'm selling the house. That's when she started crying. Real tears, not the fake kind. She said she didn't raise me to be vindictive like this, that Grandpa Charles would be ashamed of me for hurting the family. And that right there, that made me so angry. I told her Grandpa Charles left me that house because he knew exactly what kind of people she and Delilah were. He saw how they treated me even back then. He made his choice and so did I. Mom left after that. Slammed my apartment door so hard my neighbor came out to check if everything was okay. Monday, I got a text from Wayne asking if we could meet up to discuss things man to man. I actually laughed out loud. Man to man. This guy has been living in my house for 4 years without paying me a cent, and now he wants to have a conversation. But you know what? I was curious what he had to say, so I agreed to meet him Tuesday afternoon at this diner near my work. Wayne showed up in his business casual outfit looking all serious and concerned. He sat down across from me and immediately started with the reasonable approach. He said he understands I'm upset, that what happened at the baby shower was inappropriate and Delilah was out of line. He said they're willing to make it right. He asked if we could work out some kind of arrangement where they pay me back rent or something. I asked him how much he thought was fair for 4 years of living rent-free in a 3-bedroom house. He got uncomfortable then, started talking about how they've put so much money into the place, the renovations increased the property value. They were basically doing me a favor by maintaining it. I pulled out my phone and showed him the bank statements. 8 years of property tax payments, homeowner's insurance, the new roof I had installed 3 years ago that cost me $12,000. Every single expense for that house came out of my pocket while he and Delilah posted Instagram photos of their perfect life. Wayne's face changed. He got defensive, said they didn't know I was still paying for everything. They thought Mom had taken over or that the house was just family property. I asked him how that made any sense when they never paid me anything or signed any paperwork. He didn't have an answer for that. Then he tried the guilt angle. Delilah is 7 months pregnant. They have a nursery set up in that house. They can't just move on such short notice. Where are they supposed to go? I told him that's not my problem. He said I'm being unreasonable, that 30 days isn't enough time for anyone to find a place and move. I reminded him that's the legal requirement and I'm following the law. Wayne got quiet for a minute. Then he said they could buy the house from me, make it official. He asked what I wanted for it. I told him $400,000, which is actually under market value. His face went white. He said they don't have that kind of money saved up. I said then, I guess they're moving. He actually tried to negotiate, asked if I'd sell it to them for $300,000, then $250,000. I just sat there and let him spiral. Finally, I told him I'm not selling it to them at any price. I'm selling it to whoever offers the most money, and they have until the end of the month to get out. Wayne lost it then. He said I'm destroying his family over some petty revenge, that I'm putting a pregnant woman out on the street because my feelings got hurt, that Grandpa Charles would be disgusted with me. I stood up, threw $20 on the table for my coffee, and walked out. Left him sitting there. Wednesday, Delilah started texting me directly. Long paragraphs about how she's sorry for what she said, how the pregnancy hormones make her emotional, how she didn't mean any of it. She said she's always loved me as her brother, and she knows we've had our differences, but family is family. She sent photos of the nursery they set up, photos of baby clothes. She's trying to make me feel guilty about the baby. I didn't respond to any of it, but I did do something else. See, when I had that roof replaced 3 years ago, the contractor told me the HVAC system was old and would need replacing soon. I didn't do it then because I didn't have the money and it was still working fine. But it's my house and my HVAC system. So Thursday, I called the utility company and told them I'm the homeowner and I want to shut off service to that address effective immediately. They said they needed notice from the current residents. I explained the residents are squatters who have no legal right to be there, and I'm the actual owner with an eviction in process. They shut everything off Thursday afternoon. Electric, gas, water, everything. My phone exploded. Delilah called me sobbing, saying I'm trying to kill her and the baby. Mom called screaming about how this is illegal and she's calling the police. Wayne left a voicemail that was just him yelling about how I'm a psychopath. The thing is, it's completely legal. It's my house. They're not tenants because they never signed a lease or paid rent. They're just people I let stay there who refuse to leave when asked. Turning off utilities to speed up an eviction is within my rights. My lawyer confirmed it before I did it. Friday morning, Wayne called again. He was different this time, desperate. He said they're staying with Mom and Silvio temporarily, but they can't stay there long. He said they're looking for apartments, but everything is either too expensive or too small or won't be available in time. He asked if I'd at least turn the utilities back on until they find a place. Give them a chance to pack properly and move out with dignity. I told him no. He asked why I'm being so cruel. I reminded him of what Delilah said at the baby shower. Every single word. I told him I'm not being cruel, I'm being fair. This is what they earned. Saturday, yesterday, I drove past the house. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I wanted to see it one more time before I sell it. The lawn needs mowing. There's a U-Haul truck in the driveway. I saw Wayne carrying boxes out to it. They're actually moving. It's really happening. In less than a week, I've gone from the pathetic brother who doesn't count to the person who's dismantling their entire life, and I feel nothing about it. No guilt, no satisfaction, just this calm certainty that I'm doing exactly what I should have done 8 years ago. Mom sent me one more text this morning. She said I've broken this family forever and I'll regret it someday. That when I'm old and alone, I'll wish I had been kinder. That she's ashamed to call me her son. I blocked her number after that. Then I blocked Delilah's. Then Wayne's. I don't need to hear anything else they have to say. The realtor is coming to look at the house on Wednesday once they're fully moved out. She thinks we can list it by next weekend. I'm going to take that $400,000 and I'm going to do something Grandpa Charles always wanted to do but never got the chance. I'm going to travel. Maybe I'll quit PetSmart. Maybe I'll figure out what I actually want to do with my life instead of just surviving. For anyone saying I should feel bad about this, save it. They had 8 years to treat me like family. They chose not to. These are just the consequences of their own actions. Update 2. Alright, shout out to everyone who said they wanted updates because this situation has gotten even more insane. For those telling me I'm being too harsh, cool, you can stop reading now. For everyone else who gets it, buckle up. So I unblocked Mom's number after a few days because my lawyer said I should keep records of any harassment or threats. Smart move on his part because what happened next was absolutely unhinged. The realtor came to see the house last Wednesday, like I said. The place was empty by then. Wayne and Delilah cleared out everything. But here's what I didn't expect. They absolutely trashed it on their way out. I'm talking holes punched in the walls, cabinet doors ripped off. The new countertops they installed all scratched up. They even took the ceiling fans and light fixtures, just unscrewed them, and took them. The beautiful hardwood floors Grandpa Charles installed himself had gouge marks all over them like someone dragged furniture across them on purpose. My realtor walked through and said this was clearly done out of spite. She asked if I wanted to file a police report. I told her no. I just want to fix it and sell it. She estimated about $15,000 in repairs to get it market ready. $15,000 that's coming out of my pocket because of what they did. But you know what? I didn't even get mad. I expected this. These are people who spent 4 years living in a house they didn't own and never once questioned it. Of course, they'd trash it on the way out. That's exactly who they are. I hired contractors and we got started on repairs. While that was happening, Mom sent me this long text about how I need to stop the sale. She said Silvio looked at the house and he wants to buy it. They're willing to pay $320,000 cash, close in 2 weeks. She said this would keep the house in the family and honor Grandpa Charles's memory. I almost laughed. I texted back asking why Silvio would want a house that his stepdaughter just destroyed. Mom said they didn't destroy anything. They just removed items that belonged to them. I sent her photos of the holes in the walls. She stopped responding after that. Thursday, I got a message request on Instagram from one of Delilah's bridesmaids, the one who was filming at the baby shower. She sent me the video they took of me getting kicked out, told me she felt terrible about it now that she knows the whole story. She said Delilah had told everyone I was unstable and showing up to harass her. That's why they were filming. She wanted me to know the truth. I didn't respond. I don't need validation from random people who laughed at me. Friday, the repairs were done and the house went on the market. My realtor priced it at $415,000 because apparently the neighborhood has gotten even more desirable. We had the first showing on Saturday morning. I didn't go, obviously, but the realtor sent me updates. 3 families came through. All of them loved it. Saturday afternoon, Wayne called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered before I realized who it was. He asked if we could meet one more time. Said he has something important to tell me. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Met him Sunday at a park near my place. Wayne looked rough, like he hadn't slept in days. He sat down on the bench next to me and said they're living in a 2-bedroom apartment now, signed a 6-month lease, paying $2,400 a month. He said it's cramped, and Delilah cries every day about losing the house. The baby is due in 6 weeks, and she's terrified of bringing it home to that tiny apartment. I asked him why he's telling me this. He said because he wants me to understand what I'm doing to them. I told him I understand perfectly. I'm selling my house that they refuse to leave. Then Wayne said something that actually surprised me. He admitted they knew the house was mine the whole time, not legally theirs. They just assumed I'd never do anything about it because I never did before. They thought I was too weak or too guilty or too something to actually stand up for myself. Delilah even joked about it, apparently. Called me the doormat brother who'd let them do whatever they wanted. I asked Wayne why he's telling me this now. He said because he wants me to know he's sorry. That he went along with it because Delilah was his wife and he supported her. But he knows it was wrong. He said the baby shower thing was cruel and he should have stopped it. He actually teared up while saying this. You know what I did? I stood up and started walking away. Wayne grabbed my arm and said, please, just listen. He said they can't afford to rent long-term and save for a house at the same time. They're financially destroyed. The $40,000 they spent on renovations was mostly financed through a personal loan that they still owe $30,000 on. They took out that loan assuming they'd have years to pay it back while living rent-free. Now they're paying $2,400 a month in rent plus $800 a month on the loan. Wayne's salary can barely cover it, and Delilah can't work once the baby comes. I pulled my arm away and told him that sounds like a personal problem. Wayne said I'm killing them financially over hurt feelings. I reminded him about the holes in the walls, the damage they did, the $15,000 I had to spend fixing their mess. I asked him if that seemed like hurt feelings to him. Wayne got defensive then, said they were angry and had a right to be, that I blindsided them with the eviction. I pointed out they blindsided me by living in my house for 4 years without permission. We went back and forth like that for probably 20 minutes, him trying different angles and me shutting down every single one. Finally, he tried the nuclear option. He said if I go through with this sale, Delilah might actually hurt herself, that she's been having dark thoughts about the pregnancy and the stress of everything, that I'm pushing her to a breaking point. I looked at him for a long time. Then I told him that's manipulative garbage, and if Delilah is actually having those thoughts, he should get her professional help, not use it to blackmail me. I walked away after that and he didn't follow. Monday, we got an offer. $425,000, $10,000 over asking, a young couple with no kids, and a pre-approval letter from their bank. My realtor called me excited about it. I told her to accept immediately. That's when things got really messy. Tuesday morning, I got served with legal papers. My mom and Delilah are suing me. The lawsuit claims I manipulated Grandpa Charles when he was elderly and confused, that the house should have gone to my mom as his daughter, that I'm unlawfully evicting family members, and that I'm causing emotional distress to a pregnant woman. They're asking the court to stop the sale and transfer ownership to my mother. My lawyer looked at the paperwork and said it's garbage. Grandpa Charles was completely mentally competent when he made his will. There's documentation of that from his lawyer. The eviction was legal. And emotional distress isn't grounds to take someone's property. He said the lawsuit will get thrown out, but it might delay the sale by a few weeks. I called the realtor and explained the situation. She said the buyers might pull out if there's a legal dispute over ownership. She was right. They withdrew their offer Tuesday afternoon. I was furious. Not because the sale fell through, but because they're trying to tie this up in court long enough to make me give up or settle. They're betting I don't have the money or patience for a legal fight. They're wrong. Wednesday, I had a long meeting with my lawyer. We're countersuing for the property damage, for harassment, and for filing a frivolous lawsuit. He says we have a solid case. More importantly, he says the lawsuit won't hold up and we should be able to list the house again within a month. But here's where it gets interesting. My lawyer asked if I'd be willing to settle. Not with them, but for them. He suggested we could offer to drop the countersuit if they drop their lawsuit and pay for the damages they caused. Clean break, everyone moves on. I told him absolutely not. No settlement, no compromise. I want this to go all the way. I want a judge to officially say the house is mine and they have no claim to it. I want it on record that what they did was wrong. My lawyer looked at me and said this is going to cost me probably $10,000 in legal fees, maybe more. I told him I don't care. Some things are worth paying for. Thursday, my mom left me a voicemail. She was crying, saying she can't believe I'm doing this to my own family, that she's going to lose her house trying to pay for lawyers to fight me, that Silvio is furious about the money they're spending, that I'm tearing apart everything Grandpa Charles built. I saved the voicemail. My lawyer says it might be useful to show their mindset. Friday, I drove past Mom and Silvio's house. There was a for sale sign in the front yard. They're selling their house to pay for the lawsuit. The absolute insanity of spending hundreds of thousands fighting me in court when they could just walk away is mind-blowing. But I get it now. This isn't about the house anymore. This is about them refusing to accept that I won. That the pathetic brother they mocked and used for 8 years finally stood up, and they can't handle it. They'd rather burn their own lives down than admit I was right. Yesterday, I got a text from Delilah. Just one line. "You're going to regret this when my baby grows up without a real home." I didn't respond, but I did screenshot it for my lawyer. The court date is set for 3 weeks from now. My lawyer is confident, but I'm preparing for anything. In the meantime, the house sits empty, still on the market but marked as having a legal dispute. I'm paying the mortgage and utilities and taxes while this drags out. It's costing me money every day. But I don't care anymore. This stopped being about money a long time ago. This is about proving that actions have consequences. That you can't treat people like garbage for years and expect them to just take it forever. They wanted a war. They're getting one. Final update. This is probably my last update because this whole nightmare is finally over. For everyone who's been following along, thank you for the support. For the people who kept saying I should forgive them or that I'm being too harsh, you can leave now because this isn't that kind of ending. The court hearing was 2 weeks ago. I'm going to walk you through everything that happened because it was absolutely wild. My lawyer and I showed up early. We had all our documentation organized in these folders. The original will from Grandpa Charles, 8 years of property tax payments, the eviction notice, photos of the damage they did to the house, everything. My lawyer told me to stay calm no matter what they said, don't react. Let him handle it. Mom and Delilah showed up with their lawyer about 15 minutes before the hearing. Delilah was massively pregnant at this point, like ready to pop any day. She was wearing this flowy dress and kept one hand on her belly the whole time, really playing up the pregnant victim angle. Mom looked exhausted. Sylvia wasn't there, which I found interesting. We all sat in the courtroom waiting, and I could feel them staring at me. Finally, Delilah got up and walked over to where I was sitting. My lawyer immediately stood up, but she just said she wanted to talk to me for 1 minute, please. My lawyer nodded but stayed close. Delilah sat down next to me and said she's sorry about everything. About the baby shower, about living in the house without asking, about the lawsuit, all of it. She said she was wrong, and she knows that now. She asked if there was any way we could stop this before it goes in front of the judge. She said she's terrified of losing and having a judgment against her, that it'll ruin her credit and Wayne's credit, and they'll never be able to buy a house. I looked at her and asked if she's actually sorry or if she's just sorry she got caught. She started crying then, said she's really sorry, that she never meant to hurt me, that family should mean more than property. I told her she had 8 years to treat me like family, and she chose not to. I said I'm not stopping anything. Mom came over then and said we need to talk about this as a family, that Grandpa Charles wouldn't want us fighting in court. I reminded her that Grandpa Charles specifically left the house to me, not to her, not to the family, that he made his choice and I'm honoring it. Mom said I'm using a dead man's decision to justify cruelty. I said I'm using a legal document to reclaim my property. The bailiff called us in before it could go further. Everyone sat down and the judge came out. She was this older woman who looked like she'd seen everything and was tired of people's nonsense. Our case got called, and both lawyers stood up to present. Their lawyer went first. He laid out this whole emotional argument about how I took advantage of an elderly man's favoritism, how I manipulated him into leaving me the house, how I'm now using that to hurt my pregnant sister. He showed photos of Delilah's belly, talked about how stressful this is for her, mentioned that they'd made significant improvements to the property. He argued that common law and family equity should override the technical ownership. My lawyer stood up and absolutely destroyed that argument. He showed the documentation from Grandpa Charles's lawyer, proving he was completely mentally competent when he made his will. He showed the property tax records proving I've been the sole financial supporter of that house for 8 years. He showed the eviction notice that was filed properly and legally. He showed photos of the damage they did when they moved out. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. He told the judge that this case represents a fundamental question about property rights in this state, that if family members can claim ownership of property simply by occupying it and making improvements, then no property owner is safe from relatives who feel entitled to their assets. He said the law is clear and my ownership is absolute. The judge asked their lawyer if there was any documentation showing my mother or sister had any legal claim to the property, any deed, any title, any signed agreement. He admitted there wasn't. She asked if they had paid any rent or property taxes during the 4 years they lived there. He said they hadn't, but they believed it was a family arrangement. The judge asked me directly if I had ever given them permission to live there permanently or told them they had any ownership rights. I said no. I said I moved out because I couldn't handle the family pressure, and they moved in without asking me. She asked if I continued paying all expenses for the property during that time. I said yes, and my lawyer handed her the financial records. The judge took about 10 minutes to review everything. The courtroom was completely silent. I could hear Delilah sniffling behind me. Finally, the judge looked up and said, "This is the clearest case of property ownership she's seen in years." She said the house belongs to me. The eviction was legal, and the lawsuit is dismissed. Then she said because the lawsuit was clearly frivolous and filed only to delay a legal sale, she's awarding me attorney fees and court costs. Their lawyer tried to object, but the judge shut him down. She said filing baseless lawsuits to harass property owners is not acceptable and there will be consequences. She ordered them to pay my legal fees within 60 days. Mom started crying loudly. Delilah just sat there with her hand on her belly looking blank. The judge asked if there was anything else, and my lawyer said yes, we have a countersuit for property damage. He showed the photos of what they did to the house and the receipts for repairs. Their lawyer argued that they only removed items that belonged to them, and any damage was normal wear and tear. My lawyer showed the photos of the gouged floors, the holes in the walls, the missing light fixtures that had been installed when Grandpa Charles owned it. The judge looked at the photos and asked their lawyer if he seriously considered that normal wear and tear. He didn't have a good answer. The judge awarded me the full $15,000 for repairs plus another $5,000 for my time and inconvenience. She said the total judgment against Jessica and Delilah was $28,000 payable within 60 days, or she would authorize garnishment of wages and seizure of assets. We walked out of that courtroom and I felt nothing. No victory, no satisfaction. Just this empty feeling that it was finally done. My lawyer shook my hand and said I should feel good about this, that I won completely. I told him I just wanted to sell the house and move on. Mom and Delilah were standing in the hallway with their lawyer. He was talking to them in a low voice, and they both looked destroyed. I walked past them to leave, and Mom grabbed my arm. She asked how I could do this to them. I pulled my arm away and kept walking. That was 12 days ago. Since then, several things have happened. The house went back on the market immediately. We had it listed within 48 hours of the court ruling. This time we got multiple offers because there was no legal dispute anymore. I accepted an offer for $435,000 from a family with 2 kids. They close in 3 weeks. Mom and Silvio's house sold. I found out through a mutual acquaintance that they got $280,000 for it. They're moving to a rental condo about 40 minutes away. Apparently, Silvio is furious about having to sell and is blaming Mom for the whole situation. I heard they're fighting constantly about money now. Delilah had her baby, a girl. I found out because one of her friends posted about it on social media. I didn't reach out and neither did they. The baby shower friend who messaged me before sent me another message saying Delilah is struggling in the tiny apartment with a newborn, that Wayne is working extra hours to try to cover their bills, that they're drowning financially. I didn't respond to that either. The $28,000 judgment is due in 3 weeks. My lawyer says they probably won't be able to pay it, especially not with Mom and Silvio's money going toward their own housing situation. He says we can start garnishment proceedings after that. I told him to do whatever he needs to do. I've been thinking a lot about what Grandpa Charles would say about all this. I think he'd be proud of me for standing up for myself. He used to tell me that people will take as much as you let them take, and the only way to stop it is to draw a line and defend it. That's what I did. I drew a line and I defended it. Some of you have asked if I feel guilty about the baby, about Delilah struggling as a new mom. The answer is no. She made her choices. She chose to humiliate me publicly. She chose to live in my house without asking. She chose to trash it when she left. She chose to sue me instead of just moving on. Every single consequence she's facing now is because of decisions she made. The money from the house sale will clear in about a month. After paying off the small mortgage balance and all the fees, I'll walk away with about $380,000. I'm quitting PetSmart next week. I've already given my notice. I'm going to take some time to figure out what I actually want to do with my life instead of just surviving like I have been. I'm also moving, getting out of this city entirely. Too many memories here. Too many chances of running into them. I found a place about 3 hours away, smaller city, lower cost of living. I can buy a small house outright with cash and still have plenty left over. Someone in the comments on my first post said I should use the money to honor Grandpa Charles somehow. I've been thinking about that. He always wanted to see the national parks but never got the chance. I think I'm going to spend next summer doing that. Drive across the country, see everything he wanted to see, bring photos of him with me and leave one at each park. He'd like that. As for my family, I'm done. Completely done. Mom sent me one last text saying I destroyed this family and she hopes I can live with myself. I blocked her number after that. Blocked Delilah too. Blocked Wayne. Anyone associated with them is gone from my social media and my phone. The pathetic brother who didn't count just took everything from them and walked away. And I'm fine with that. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. To everyone who said I was being too harsh, I hope you never have to experience what it's like to be treated as less than nothing by your own family for years. This wasn't about revenge. This was about consequences. They earned every single thing that happened to them. The baby shower was 3 months ago. In that time, I went from being the family joke to being the person who dismantled their entire lives. And the crazy part is I used nothing but the law and the property that was always rightfully mine. I didn't scheme or manipulate or do anything illegal. I just stopped letting them use me. That's it. That's my story. The house closes in 3 weeks, I move in 5 weeks, and I never have to think about any of them again.